It's Jeannie, and today this video is gonna wrap up the boy in the striped pajamas, and then I will be talking about some grand themes. In fact, I want to talk about the themes right now. So there's a lot of themes, for example, and some very important things featuring the book. A lot of people have probably seen, I've really felt that the themes of friendship, the power of friendship, and the horror of the Holocaust. Those are some ones that are greatly featured, right? And again, as I mentioned before, I think that that Bruno being so clueless was actually one of the best things about him, because he had a clean mind, a blank mind that wasn't altered or dirtied by any biases or information propaganda. He was able to make friends with Schmel, right? Schmel, right? Because, well, he really didn't have any of those bad thoughts, right? He didn't really he didn't know anything about the Nazi ideology, and therefore the friendship was made possible. And one of the things that I felt was really important in this book was that, if we follow his example, and if we do something like that, if humanity kind of put away their biases and, had clean, clear, open minds, we could achieve global peace, a thing that has been eluding us for so many years. If the Nazis and the Jewish people could have somehow done that same thing, replicated that on an enormous scale, the Holocaust would not have happened. Millions of lives would not have been lost. Traumatizing experiences would have never happened, and so many terrible things just wouldn't have existed in the first place, wouldn't even have been thought of. And I think that that's a very powerful theme in The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. And while it's going to be really hard to get to that feature, I still think that, it shows that the people with the clearest minds are going to be the people who are going to, lead global peace. And global peace is something that has eluded us for, quite some time. No matter in what era you are, there's always some fight going on, right? For example, and this is gonna be a bit US centric, because while I have delved into world and European history, I'm still most familiar with American history. And so there is, of course, currently there's a conflict in between Israel and the terrorist organization Hamas. There is a war between Russia and Ukraine. There are tensions between China and the United States. Before that, we had wars in the Middle East. Before that, we had the Vietnam War and the Korean War and the Cold War overall, which resulted in several almost catastrophic events. We had World War II, World War I. There's so many wars out there, and seeing this is a very hopeful and kind of a eye-opening novel, right? Because a lot of these things would not have been achieved if Bruno and Schmel were kids, right? If they were adults, this would never have happened, right? They would already be biased. And so I think that it's a very powerful novel, and hopefully it will shape how people view other people and world peace and solutions to global peace overall. So yeah, the book has some very interesting themes, and you can delve into them further by writing essays about it, just thinking about it. It's always a really nice habit I have learned of writing down stuff about books, right? Just writing your thoughts down. They really help not only organize your thoughts, but also, come up with some pretty good ideas and your own reflections, which, are very valuable, right? And so in chapter 16, Bruno learns about what a Jewish person is, and Gretel explains it all to him, right? Do you think that Bruno is, with this newfound knowledge, did you think that Bruno was going to kind of look at Shmuel in a bad sort of way, or did you think that was not going to happen? I mean, of course, Bruno I don't think that he really understood what all of that meant, but still, if you were Bruno, and remember that these were all lies, but you would think that they were the truth. If you learned about all of those things, would you look at Shmuel differently? Would you still want to be friends, right? Because, Gretel tells him that Jewish people and other people cannot mix, and that they're really opposite types, and people that they don't really like Jewish people, and people don't get along. And so really, Gretel does not really explain it that well for Bruno, but still, if you had learned that, would you still think, well, we're not supposed to get along together, should I still be friends? Do you think that you would begin to wonder that? Do you think that you would still have the courage to go out and meet Shmuel every single day? And in chapter 17, Mother gets her own way, right? And now they're going to go back to Berlin. And did you think that Bruno, if you were Bruno, would you like that? I mean, sure, you're going to leave Shmuel behind, but that means a lot of your other friends and, maybe going back to that amazing house and to all the things that he's familiar with. Do you think that you would still want to, do you think that you would go or not? Would you want to go? I think I would still want to go. I mean, Shmuel is a very good friend, but I think I would want to go, right? Because Berlin, for Bruno, Berlin is home, right? And it's something, and I think that, and I'm the type of person who gets really nostalgic, and so whenever I move to a new place, I haven't actually moved to a new place much, but whenever I have, I always miss the place that I was there before, and so because of that, I probably miss Berlin a lot. The funny thing is, whenever I'm there, I actually don't really miss it or really appreciate it, and I really always want to move somewhere else. But when I do, I miss those days. But anyway, yeah, and so my point is that I would go, but would you? Do you think that you would abandon one friendship for maybe 3? What friendship do you think is more genuine? And it's not like, the friendship between Shmuel and Bruno is more genuine. There's no actual answer to that because, it depends. But what do you think, in your opinion, is more genuine and powerful? And what do you think is going to affect Bruno the most? I mean, sure, Bruno and Shmuel got together and unfortunately they are killed in the gas chambers, but let's not think like that. If Bruno and Shmuel both lived, then what would impact their lives more? We're focusing on Bruno here actually, so answer for Bruno. I think that it would probably affect Bruno's life more greatly if he was with Shmuel, because he would be able to look at the world that has been built around him with completely different eyes, right? As he got used to Shmuel's stories, and as he began to realize that his fantasy of cafes and markets and happy children and elderly people in the camp evaporate, I think that he's going to learn more about the truth of the actual situation that his friend is in. And I think that it would really change his views on so many things, on so many important things. And I think that perhaps he would be empowered by those things to make change, right? And yes, the Nazis did lose the war in 1945, with the suicide of Hitler, and then, afterwards, the dropping of bombs and all that, right? And of course, that was actually Japan's surrender and the official end of World War II. But still, if the Nazi occupation had gone on, then I am pretty sure that Bruno would definitely be one of those change makers. That he, listening to Schmel, would want to change what he saw as he learned more, and he realized that what had been fed to him, all of the information that had been fed to him, was wrong. And if you were Bruno, would you want to go over to Schmel's side of the fence and explore and help Schmel find his father? And remember, you don't know that's a concentration or / death camp. You don't know that people are killed, and that is a very miserable and terrible place, right? So, what do you think? Do you think you'd be excited, or do you think that you would still not want to go, just against the rules? Well, there's still soldiers there, right? And it's a very official and scary looking place with barbed wire, and it is 100% off. It's restricted for me, right? I would really want to go, but I would just be afraid of being caught because, there are soldiers there. If I get caught, I could get into enormous trouble. So I think I'll be a bit hesitant because of that, but otherwise I would totally be on board because, it's a new place to explore, right? And while I might not be as enthusiastic about exploration as Bruno, I still really like a good adventure and to learn about new places and to go to new places, especially if I'm Bruno and I'm stuck in my house, in the middle of practically nowhere, with nothing to do. And it would be also nice to be on the same side of this fence as Schmel, right? So I think that I will be really excited to go. And Bruno never really actually figures out the true purpose of Auschwitz. She never really figures out how horrible it all was, right? Because for all he knew, as he was dying, even when he was dying, he was saying, yeah, it's probably because, they want to keep us nice and dry, right, from the rain. And next time I will be doing a movie book comparison of the boy in the striped pajamas, and so I'm gonna be talking more about that next time. But today, all I'm gonna say about that, because while it's a very important, it's a very big factor in the book, all I'm gonna really say about that entire chapter would be that Bruno dies both trusting his friend and also trusting the Nazis, right? Do you think that one can truly do both? And if he was forced to choose, right? When he was with Lieutenant Cutler was getting very angry at him, and so he was scared into choosing towards Cutler. But if he had to choose against who was right and who was wrong, even though he had listened to Schmel's stories of soldiers taking away everything and making him live there, who do you think that he would believe? Right? He's been with Schmel, and so in his last moments, who do you think that he would believe? I think that he would still believe Nazis. What do you think? Do you think that he would believe Schmel? Do you think there was ever a point when he began to believe, or at least think, that maybe that other people were wrong? Or do you think that all throughout the book, he was somehow both he was somehow a French Schmel while still thinking that everybody else his parents, the soldiers were right. What do you think? And if there was such a point, then when do you think that point was? So think about that. Those are some very interesting discussion questions. And I also noticed that there are discussion questions at the back of the Boy in the Striped Pajamas, at least my edition. It's a Kindle edition. It's just the Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I think it's like a 10th anniversary edition. It is. So if you look to the back of that, you could probably find some interesting things as well. So overall, Bruno's story ends very tragically. And if you watch the movie, you're really sad. It gets really sad at the end, which is probably why it was rated PG-13, because it was just so sad and so heartbreaking. But at the same time, in this sad story, I think that one of the most important themes that we can get is this. The Nazis, in their blind rage to destroy the Jewish race, kind of also destroyed one of their own. And I think that is a very important theme and lesson that we can get, right? Right. So, in their haste to kill, destroy, murder, and to traumatize, I think that they even ruined the things that they wanted to keep. That overall, it was bad for everybody, not just them. And when you watch the movie, you're gonna see more of that feeling. In the book, his parents don't come out a lot, right? Bruno's mother is barely mentioned. But if you watch the movie, and I will be talking more about the themes that I saw in the movie and how it differed from the book in both good and bad ways. And I think that you'll see more of the devastation caused by Bruno's death and how this wasn't only bad for the Jewish people. Of course, it affected the Jewish people in a much more devastating way. That's a fact that we cannot really argue against, right? But it could have still affected the German people as well. And that's a very interesting question as well that you can delve into either through history books like the amazing book Hitler Youth, which won the Newbery Honor, and which is a very amazing book, or some of the Alan Gratz novels, which especially Prisoner something is a very good book. But just search up Prisoner. And then just Alan Gratz first, and then Prisoner, and it's going to come out the rest of the name. It's a series of numbers and letters, and it's a story about a boy who goes through the concentration camps that were run in Nazi Germany. And it really is an eye-opener to the horrors of the Holocaust. And while some people are going to flinch, others will, I think that it's a very good opportunity to really learn about how horrible it was and get a better sense of the Holocaust. I also recommend the memoir Night as well, and this is a very interesting book that I have read, and so that's another very valuable Holocaust resource. And other books as well are going to help you on answering that question. I personally have come to the conclusion that while it has hurt Jewish people much more than it has hurt Germans, it had also hurt Germans. But even if we don't think about it like that, the Nazi-approved people, even they suffered. And hopefully you will find out more about that in some of the books that I have recommended, and other resources that you will probably find on your own. So, again, that's a very valuable question, I think, because in this era, right, we're always hearing about this force or that force, how they're gaining too much power, and maybe if we think more about this, and as we read the Boy in the Striped Pajamas, think how this really connects with today. Think about how it's really connected to today's world, right? How it's still relevant after around 20 years of publication. Well, I hope that you enjoyed today's video on the Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. It is an amazing book, and I am thinking about also reading All the Broken Places, and if I think that's a very good book, then you're going to be seeing that as well on my YouTube channel. For right now though, hope The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is probably going to be the only book that I'm going to be talking about by John Boyne, and you can expect other great reads such as The Call of the Wild, The Book Thief, and others coming soon. Have a great rest of your day, keep reading, and I'll see you next time.